Check. Check, check, check.
Can you hear me? Welcome everyone. So we are starting this new series here at ICTS. It's not okay.
Okay, good evening to everyone. This is my first visit to campus. Of course, I used to interact with people when you are there in IISc campus. So today what I am going to do is a kind of an interactive session. Am I audible to everyone? That's what I asked him. He said it works. Okay. Anyway, I was not comfortable with this. Okay, give me that. Is it on? Yeah. Yeah. I can make out. Okay. I work in the sector, the water, the ecology and environment. I spend a lot of time in the Western Ghats. I'm sure you all know where Western Ghats. Because I spent few days in a month in Bangalore, people in the city wanted me to work on some of the issues related to Bangalore. But whatever I speak is relevant to the entire globe. You know, when you look at Kerala receives the highest rainfall, but yet November 2016 they declared drought. There was a rain of 4,000 to 4,500 millimeter. Even in Karnataka, some parts of Karnataka like Bangalore, the record shows that there was a rainfall of 3,500 to 5,000 millimeter, but still there was a problem of water. The medical colleges were closed, and Sulabh Sochalayas were closed. But if you look at the Rajasthan, the other side, receives about 350 to 400 millimeter, 1/10 of what these regions get. There was no water crisis. They had enough water, because I also go to one of the institution in the Rajasthan every month as an adjunct faculty. There's no water crisis. So my understanding is, it is the management that plays a role. The mismanagement is the root cause of the problem. So the scarcity of resources happens whenever there are mismanagement. Invariably, mismanagement in Indian situation is deliberately done, because it optimizes somebody's gain. So that is where the problem is. So let us try to understand these issues with a case study of Bangalore. Before I take up the discussion, normally I give some messages so that everyone will remember something out of my talk. 2016, we celebrated as an International Year of Pulses. Now, as an ecologist, I would say that's a wonderful thing. Why pulses? If you look at water footprint required for growing pulses is much lower. Okay? Second thing is, wherever the human-animal conflict happen, wildlife conflicts are there, if you grow pulses, you can minimize the human-animal conflict. If we grow paddy, sugarcane, invariably these animals come and they destroy the crop, they kill the people, whereas when you grow the pulses, you don't have the problem. Okay? So now, that's one part of the story. Then second thing, as a humans, pulses also has a decisive role in our day-to-day life. When elderly people, or today, anybody who has crossed 30 has to think about their diet and all, unlike earlier time. You would have seen somebody would have watched the TV, had a good night dinner, but morning they are no more. If you look at the kind of food they have taken in the previous night, if it is predominantly the carbohydrate, that carbohydrate means you have the rice, then wheat, etc. The digestion is faster. In the process, sugar release is faster. When the sugar release is faster, naturally there's an imbalance in the system which makes the person to die. Whereas if you take pulses, digestion is slower and also the sugar release is slower, so that it optimizes the sugar level in the body. That's the first thing. Second is, for the youngsters, most of the brainy fellows eat more of pulses. It optimizes the brain functioning. And also, my study on algae, algae are the plants in the water bodies. It shows there is a inverse relationship between the protein and the fat accumulation. When you stress algae with the nutrient, especially N, the accumulation of fat is higher. In that case, I need fat because lipid I require so that I can make the biofuel. If you bring the same analogy to the humans or animal, if you take more pulses, probably you can manage the weight also. These are all scientifically proved. So now, when you look at the water footprint, for growing pulses, you need per kg of pulses about 200 liters of water. Whereas you need 5,000 liters of water to produce 1 kg of beef. Okay? And more importantly, it reduces the human-animal conflict. Now, look at the water footprint in other items. See, probably when we are aware of the water footprint, we also become judicious in the thing. When I look at the t-shirt, to manufacture a t-shirt, we need 2,700 liters. Does it mean that we should go for a t-shirt every month end? So that's the kind of thing. Or the shoe. A kg of shoe is about 16,600 liters. So, in fact, when I was traveling with my student, he was telling me, the population is the problem in the country. I told him, it's not the population that's the problem in the country, it's more to do with our consumers' behavior. 20% of the population wasting 80% of resources is a threat to the country, than 80% of the population who has only opportunity to spend 20%. So that way population is not a problem in the country like India. So now these are all the water footprint, I'll skip that. And today what I have planned to do is, I will take you to the Western Ghats, the kind of the research what I do in Western Ghats, I'll try to share that. Then I'll bring you to Bangalore, how Bangalore is moving towards the certain death. What we need to do, I will discuss that. Then what I am doing to bring some awareness in the society, that also I'll discuss, okay? So this is a kind of the environment I work. The Western Ghats, see, it comes from Kerala to Gujarat. If you look at the latitude, it is 8 degree latitude to 22 degree. Now this is the kind of the pristine environment I see in the Western Ghats. You know, we spend almost a week or two every month in the Western Ghats. And of course, I have a research station in the Western Ghats where my students and other colleagues work there, and regular monitoring of the ecosystem happens. Now, when I look at the nature, okay, of course, a lot of the thinking happens, the ideas emerges. That idea, when I bring it to my lab, my students convert that into technology. Today, if my name is known in the system, I would say that it is because all my designs is from the learning from the nature. Or when I take a class, the way I teach my student is based on the nature's principles. When you look at this slide, which I use to teach my student thermodynamic principles, you know, all the 3 laws of thermodynamics you can teach them. When you look at this, there is an energy transfer happens, solar energy to food. There is an optimization. All the plants are competing with each other. There is a food optimization is happening. And everyone is getting food, unlike human society. In human society, you know, the unfortunate thing is, if my neighbor doesn't take a food, I'm happy. That's the attitude of the most of the people I have come across. I have not come across a person who let everyone be happy in the system. Now let's look at the Western Ghats. The number of species which is there in the Western Ghats. See, here the number of species, that means diversity of plants and animal is so high compared to any other part of the globe. See, 8 degree to 14 degrees has the highest number of plants and animals. If I don't conserve this patch, the very vital ecosystem, where will I get this diversity of plants and animals? So diversity of plants and animals means I have diverse food and diverse medicines. And what the species that occur there, we have described only 1.5 or 2% of the total. Whatever the medicine you get today is only a 2% of what the people have described. Had we described or had we identified all the 98%, the remaining 98%, you would have got solution to even the problems like AIDS, etc. Okay? Now, this gives you the relationship between the vertebrate species and evapotranspiration. You know, plant transpire water, and water bodies also evaporation happens. See, this shows that higher the evapotranspiration, you have higher number of vertebrate species. I'm sure you all know vertebrate species. Just out of curiosity, I want to know, can you give some example of vertebrate species? Humans, I doubt very much. If we had the spinal cord, the country wouldn't have been in this situation. So, in fact, when I go to the colleges, I ask the kids to test whether they have the spinal cord. So some people touch their back and tell me, yes sir, something is there, but we do not know whether it's functional. We need the functional spinal cord, the fellows in the system. Okay? This is so nature is in balance. You know, there is a food chain, which, you know, if you understand this food chain, you will also get an idea how to manage the waste. You know, in an ecosystem, you have producer the plant. Plants are eaten by herbivore, and which is eaten by the carnivore. And whatever is left, you know, the bacteria and fungi put it back into the elemental form. So there is nothing called waste. But in the human system, you see a lot of waste. Heaps of waste in urban area, the waste material and waste bodies in the system. Okay. So now, this is look at the where I work, how the women, see their livelihood, they collect biomass. Probably if we send them to Olympics, they would have got many more awards, the prizes to the India. The lady who is in the late 40s, she spends at least few minutes to go down and collect this one. So this happens in the coastal areas of this one, and nature is in balance. Because they lead a symbiotic life, they have a healthy this one, that's what happens. In fact, bivalves. Bivalves, these are organisms which are there in the ocean. That meat is taken by the people, So they eat that. So you're from which part of India? Tamil Nadu. We call it chippu. It has the thing, that's it. Okay, now with this I'll come to the one of the results of our study in Western Ghats. I'll take you to the river basin because the country is talking about river linking. For everybody, they think that water crisis is solved if they link the rivers. But how erroneous that kind of thinking, you will understand from my presentation. I like this kind of environment. If the entire country is like this, I would be very happy. Okay? Now, for the country to have that, you need to have ecosystem approach. The integrity of the physical and chemical aspects, or a physical and chemical parameter in an ecosystem decides the biological integrity. The number of species in a particular region and type of species depends on the physical and chemical aspect in that region. You cannot expect a particular species to be in Bangalore, or you cannot expect some wheat to be in this region. So they require a certain physical and chemical aspects. Okay. Now that's how we do the management of the thing. I'll take you to one of the case studies in a river basin. See, when you look at any landscape, the way the landscape is covered decides its functional ability. If the landscape is covered with the forest, its functional abilities are different compared to its agriculture or open area. Now, what are the functional aspects of the ecosystem? You have the hydrological cycle, the ecological cycle, nutrient or biogeochemical cycling. You all know what is hydrological cycle, the water cycle. I will give another side of the water cycle. I was addressing the faculty in Andhra Pradesh. This is about probably the 45 or 50 days back. My session with the faculty and student is always interactive. I just took a break. I asked, what is water cycle? I thought I will get an answer saying that water cycle means water gets cycled in the environment. It has got precipitation, rain, then infiltration, condensation, evaporation, and all those things. But one faculty got up and told me, sir, you see outside, people are carrying water pot on bicycle. When you carry water pot on bicycle, it is called water cycle. So, this is the tragedy. This is not just in India. I have interacted with people in China and other countries also. This is the kind of thing. That is where, knowledge sharing becomes an important thing. And also make people more sensible and responsible is also on the part of the people who know little bit, okay? So now, see this has happened in my lifetime. When I was a student, the region was like this. Today it is like this, the same region. You see the water is missing. Why the water is missing? It is because, according to me, the green is missing. The day when you remove the green in the name of development, we are going to lose the water. So that's where, when I write an article, at the end I always pose a question. Country needs to develop, but not at the cost of the water. The quality and quantity of water, if you want to sustain, then you need to have the management which has to be meaningful. Now, this is Sharavati River Basin. I'll take you to, this is in Western Ghats, okay? This is this river basin. This is, when we talk about a river, most of the civil engineers think that this blue line is a river. That is the first mistake they do. River has a catchment or a basin. That means this is a basin which drains the water to the river. The health of this basin decides the availability of water and duration of water flow in the river. Okay? Now, when you look at this carefully, you see this side has higher number of streams and this side has a lower density of streams. Now, see the stream, the first order stream, two first order join form second order, then form the tributary. Now, there are many tributaries. I can see that there are many sub-basin for each, depending on the tributary. This is one sub-basin. I have delineated that. Now, let us try to understand what is the kind of green cover in each sub-basin and what is the amount of rainfall that receives. You know, today, if you want to do this analysis, the data is available. You know, we have the data in IMD, daily data for 117 years, 1901 to today. There was an intervention here, the dam was constructed in 1965. You take that data, divide into two time period, 1901 to 65, 65 to today. You will be surprised to see, during 1901 to 65, this region was receiving 4,000 to 5,000 millimeter rainfall. And now, this part continues to receive 4,000 to 5,000 millimeter, while this portion receives about 1,800 to 1,900 millimeter rainfall. Now, what is the reason? Just look at the land cover. See, this is the cover for this region. That means the way the greenery. Today, we are in the forefront as far as remote sensing technology is concerned. And satellites are launched way back in 70s. It keeps revolving the earth. And every 21 or 30 days from 1970, I have the data. From 1970 to today, what changes have happened, I can do the temporal analysis. And also I can assess what is the dynamics in the region, how it has affected the availability of the natural resources in the form of water and other the items like spices and timber, etc. Now, when you see this carefully, you see wherever green is there, you saw that stream density is high. Wherever the openings, you know, whether orange or yellow, these are all agricultural land or barren area is there, you see the rain has come down, the stream density has also come down. Now, I will take you to each of these basin and show you the relationship between the forest and rainfall. Now, see, now I refer this as a west and these are eastern side. Now, let us look at, on the eastern side, you see in this sub-basin, the forest cover is 31%, rainfall is 1,700. Again, here it's around 31%, 1,700. While on the western side, forest cover is 65%, you see the rainfall of 4,500 or 4,600. This establishes the link between the forest and the rainfall. Okay? Now, one is the rainfall. The other thing is how long the streams carry water. Finally, if the streams are there, people require water. Now, what we do is we pick up one stream from each of the sub-basin, monitor it for 18 months. Why 18 months? Because we have seasons like summer, winter, monsoon. So, you need to understand the variability and at least 2 years data. That's why we monitor for 18 months. And if the stream carries adequate water, all 12 months, we grade them as A. If it is 6 or 8 months, we grade them as B or C. If it is only during monsoon, that is 4 months, we grade that as D. Now, let us see where this A, B, C, D type of streams occur. A type of streams occur in the catchment when it has the native forest cover, that too of native species, more than 60%. When we convert that the cover into monoculture plantation, even though it looks green, but ecologically it is not doing the job. See, there it becomes 6 or 8 months. That means you have a forested area, you see the stream carrying all 12 months. Now you have converted a forest into monoculture plantation like rubber, acacia, eucalyptus. The water retention becomes 6 to 8 months. When we degrade that the landscape or the catchment area, the water retention becomes 4 months. Now today, if there is a fight between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu for Kaveri, it is mainly because of this. Because the forest cover in this area has become less than 18%, even though as per the norm, it should have been 33%. The government of India says the norm is 33%. If I don't have forest cover in the river basin, how will the river basin retain the water? You know, when there's a scarcity, whatever the water falls, it goes as a flood. And because of that, there is a scarcity in the river. Whenever there is a scarcity, there is a conflict in the society. Now, to understand this, we have done. In my paper, it is there, but I have been given only 90 minutes. This is a bonus talk I am giving at the first 10 minutes to tell you what I do in Western Ghats. Certainly, I can share my publication with you, but I will try to answer with some of the slides, okay? So what you have asked, you might get the answer also. Now, I made a statement when the, which one? No, these are the, interior means it's an intact forest. When you fragment the forest, no, these are all the terms we use when we use the remote sensing data. Whether the patches are formed, whether fragmentation has happened, whether there's a connectivity between the patches, all those things. So using remote sensing, that means the forest is fragmented so high. See, now entire thing is one forest. Now each chair has become one houses and only the vegetation is in between the thing. That means each chair become a patch. So that leads to the other one, okay? Now let us try to understand how they, yeah. See, what happens is, I'll answer that now. You look at this carefully. See, here, this is 117 years data. We have divided into two time period, 1901 to 65 and 65 to today. Why 65? Because the dam was constructed at that time. See, what happened in that case, see, when people, see, that is where management of the ecosystem becomes a very vital thing. When people were here, the villages were there. Those villages were shifted to other place, the drier belt. In this region, because the water was abundant, people were cultivating. And those jamindars were given the land in a dry belt, they couldn't do the cultivation. This is a wrong, the rehabilitation package. So the moment the reservoir work is completed, all those jamindars, they came back to this area. In fact, earlier if they had 10 acres, today they have encroached 100 acres. And that is where you see the degradation of the landscape has happened in this part. Okay? Now, let us try to understand how the nature functions. See, when the vegetation covers the landscape, the roots interact with the soil through the microbes. When the root interact with the soil through the microbe, the soil is porous. When soil is porous, the water percolates, it fills this zone, which is a groundwater zone. And then after saturation of this, it fills this zone, which is a vado zone that corresponds to this portion. And then you have a topsoil. Then after saturation of all these layers only, you will see a water flowing in the stream. Now, if you remove the vegetation and make the landscape like Bangalore, urbanized thing, nothing gets deposited. Now what happens? This gets reflected in the availability of water. See, the 4 months you have water in the stream because of the rain. Then after 4 months, water stored in this region comes to the river or a stream. That's how you have water for the next 4 months. Then water that is stored in this region comes to the stream for the next 4 months. This is also hydrological book, if you refer, there is something called a base flow. This corresponds to the water that is stored in the saturated zone. That's how 4 months because of the rain. Then remaining 8 months is the water that is stored in the underlying layer. Now, this is when native vegetation is there, it happens. You might ask why the change should happen when there is a monoculture plantation. See, when there is a monoculture plantation, when it sheds the leaf, those leaves take longer time to degrade. In the process during the monsoon, they form a thick layer. That means whatever the water falls, it goes to the downstream. So not much gets into the underlying layer, only a small amount. Okay? When there's no vegetation, naturally everything goes to the downstream. So that's how you have 4 months versus 12 months water availability in the stream, it is because of this. Yeah. No, that varies from the region to region. See, for example, the topsoil, topsoil in the Western Ghats is about 10 to 30 centimeters. Okay? Then the Vado zone is about 1 or 2 meters. Then below that becomes the saturated groundwater zone, that kind of a thing. Okay? Yeah, that varies. That varies depending on the agroclimatic zone. That is where what you prescribe for Bangalore may not hold good there, or what you prescribe there may not hold here. So you need to understand the geological and climatic region in that region. Okay? Now, see, what more than the depth, your water retention capability is decided by what is covered on the top. See, what I showed is if you cover with the native vegetation, then the water retention in the underlying layer happens for a longer time. Okay, when you degrade that the landscape, naturally not much water is retained in the system. That today, you would have seen when your grandfather was there, in that stream water was there all 12 months. But today, that same stream may not carry the water. Or take a case of Saraswati River. It is a simple landscape mismanagement led to the disappearance of the river. Okay? Now let us look at the ecology of the thing. This is the biodiversity. These dots give the various animals. It is like sloth bear, tiger, etc. Now this shows wherever the animals are there are perennial streams are there. Or put it other way, wherever perennial streams are there, you will see the presence of animals. So this brings out the linkage between the biodiversity and hydrology with the landscape dynamics. So if we are studying, we also had an opportunity to describe the new species. These are 2 species of fish we found in the same river basin. The importance of this is this has a medicinal value. And this organism can survive only if there are 12 months water in the stream. So now, if people change that into rubber plantation thing, naturally these species disappear. So that is where the extinction of the species happens. And this is the new species of diatom, which one of my students described. And this is again a new species of frog. We named it as Philatus Neelanetra because it had blue eye. We referred it as Neelanetra, that is blue eye. Okay. Now, next slide I will show you, which is very important from the evolutionary point of view. See, we know the frogs are amphibian. That means it has got a dual stage in their life cycle. First is it spends in the water, the tadpole stage, then adult is on the land. Now, this particular organism, you see that after fertilization, the young one emerges out bypassing the tadpole stage. This is very important from the evolutionary as well as the ecological aspect. And my thinking is that if there is a global warming, the changes in climate happen, probably only this kind of organism will survive, not the human beings. So because they have learned how to continue the life cycle where human being might succumb to this. So that is the thing. And you see that my student got this eggs to the lab and we monitored it for 14 days. We saw the young one emerging out. So this is the species called Philatus leucorhinus. Okay. Based on that, we said which are the residents to be conserved and all those things. Okay. Now I will move to the next part of my talk. Okay. So, of course, I work in these other areas like energy, land, and water. When you look at my website, you will get the details of that. So now this is how Bangalore was. Bangalore, a small region, was the urban area, and we had a protective wall. And adjacent to that, we had a water bodies. That's how the earlier rulers had created the township, etc. See, and when you look at Bangalore, the topography of Bangalore is undulating. It's like a small hillock. And taking advantage of this undulating terrain, people had created the water bodies. When I look at the current extent of Bangalore, this is about 740 square kilometer. If I look at the same Bangalore in 1800, this is an undulating terrain. We have 3 watersheds, 3 basins. One is this side, Hebbal Nagavara. The other one is Rushbhavati. and this one is Belandur Vartur lakes series. Okay. Now you see that interconnected lake systems in this region, and we had 1,452 water bodies in this area of about 741 square kilometer in 1800. Okay. Now these are the three broadly divided watersheds, and now today you look at where is the interconnectivity. Somebody has encroached these feeder lines, Rajakaluways or the stormwater drain, it's all disconnected. In fact, people who talk about interlinking of rivers, I always write to them and ask them, first you link my lakes in Bangalore, then I will allow you to have the interlinking of rivers. So, because what happens in the lakes of Bangalore, the same thing is happening with the river basin also. People have encroached the floodplains. There are people who go and conduct some cultural events in the floodplains. Then the court has to intervene and say that 5 crore you shall pay. Then they say, no, we are Indians. We also like the culture. We should not pay. We have allowed the people to enjoy by conducting the event. But in the process, the person who conducted the event would have pocketed 25 crores. Anyway, in India, everything happens. Okay. Now let's look at I am not criticizing anybody. If there are followers, we have to accept the reality. So let us accept that. Okay. So then look at the Bangalore, how the Bangalore has transformed. You can also do this analysis because remote sensing data is available from 1970 to 2000 as on today, every 21 or 30 days interval. This is the editorial I wrote in the current sign. 1973, the city was green, the garden city. Only this red is the urban area or urban pocket. Then slowly the things started changing. Okay. Now that is the focus of my next part of my talk. Now, I'll skip these two. Okay. So what has happened in the Bangalore was, I call that as unplanned urbanization. So there was no planning. The markets opened up. Then immediately we wanted to encash on that. We said that Bangalore will become Singapore. One of the chief ministers said that he will make Bangalore Singapore. I didn't understand that gentleman's intention. There's a place called Singapura while I go to the airport. That was the place where the solid waste was dumped. But I later realized this gentleman created entire Bangalore into Singapura, made entire Bangalore the dumping site for the solid waste. So that has happened in the city. That's why we should not get excited with this, the jargons and the statements of some of these people. So we have to be careful on that. So now unplanned urbanization led to the haphazard growth. We lost carbon sinks, whether it's trees or water bodies. Then there are poor management of natural resources. Then building architecture, if you look at, I don't know why we need to have the building with glass facades. This architecture is meant for European climate, temperate climate, where you have to conserve the heat. But unfortunately, Bill Gates thought most of the Indians copy-paste. So they went to Europe, they copied that architecture. They didn't realize the implication of that. They pasted in Bangalore environment. In the process, Bangaloreans are suffering. So how Bangaloreans are suffering? On an average, we consume electricity. If you look at the statistics, the family like mine, 700 to 1,500 units per person per year. Whereas those who are residing in this glass facade building, the electricity consumption is 14,000 to 17,000 units per person per year. Don't you see why this happens? Because of if the buildings are the climate friendly, probably the ventilation would have happened. Now the people who are residing in glass facade building, they do not even understand the builder has cheated them by putting the glass facade. So to optimize the space. In the process, they end up paying every year the electricity cost higher. Higher the electricity means you are generating more and more greenhouse gases. That's how Bangalore is also contributing to global warming. And of course, consequence of that is changes in climate. We also face the floods and the things like loss of property and unfortunate deaths, etc. happens in the region. Okay. I don't have to tell you about mismanagement of solid and liquid waste. Anyway, it will come in my other part of the study. And poor environmental literacy, that's also another issue, which I will take up the discussion at the end, okay? Now, all this is leading to global warming or changes in climate. Now, let's look at this one, what's happening. Unplanned urbanization. Now, I'll start sharing the results. This still shows 125. Is it functional or non-functional? Okay. So, now, as I said earlier, the city in 1800, because of 1452 water bodies and 80% green cover, the temperature in the May month was 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. Okay. Today, it's about 34 to 37 or 38 to 40. Last year we reached even 40. Probably the Bangaloreans are capable of changing one thing, at least the temperature of the city. So we have doubled it, okay. So the city, the garden city became garbage city, and today it has become a dead city. And this is the common scene. I'm not criticizing my nation, because I see some of the people from the other countries also. But my job as a researcher is to bring out the thing. When I go to China, I talk about Chinese cities. When I'm in India, I talk about Indian city. When I go to Bangladesh, I talk about Bangladesh, the towns and cities, okay? So that is just, as a researcher, I'm bringing out the anomaly in the system, hoping that somebody will change the system tomorrow, okay? So now, these are the things you would have seen. Now, in 1973, if you look at the landscape, 68% has a green cover. And today, 76% is under red. That means completely choked with the buildings, okay? Only 7% is the green cover, okay? Now, let us try to understand how the city will be in 2020 or 2025, okay? Now, I'll just animate this. This is the region I have enjoyed as a child. 1973, most part of the city was green. Only a small pocket in central business district was red, okay? The green is the vegetation, the blue is the water body, yellow is the open spaces. Now, 92, you see with industrialization, in PD and Koramangala, things started changing. This shows that these are the agents of change. We keep in mind the behavior of we check the behavior of the agent to model how the landscape in 2020 or 2025, okay? In 99, 2000, you see at outskirts, IT-BT sectors cropped up. So then intensification started happening 2006, 2009, 2012. Now, that's where I wrote my article saying enough is enough. We need to decongest the Bangalore. Of course, I wrote relatively a simple article with a soothing word saying that we need to do something. But later I realized that was my mistake. Then I wrote next article saying that Bangalore is dying. Then somebody shared it on the Facebook. All the faceless fellows started getting worried about that. So then I got a lot of queries saying that Bangalore is really dying, or I have misinterpreted, or what is this one? Of course, it led to a lot of discussion throughout the globe. Almost all the international people landed in my office, BBC, to the Chinese TV, everybody landed in my office asking for the further details, okay? Most worrying thing is there has been a 1028% increase in the built-up area from 1973 to 2017. We lost 88% vegetation and 79% of water bodies in the city. Now, if this continues, what happened? Let us try to understand. I divide the Bangalore into 4 zones and 1 kilometer concentric circle. Then I start looking at each circle, how the growth happens and who are the agents of the growth. If you look at 1973, most part of Bangalore was 20% is the built-up area in all circles. 92, you see with industrialization how things started changing. Now I know the agents of change and also the behavior of the agent, how much change it happens with the public sector unit, with the IT sector, etc. Then 99, so 2002, like this. Now with this understanding of agents of the behavior, we modeled what is the likely situation in 2020. We showed that 93% of the landscape will be covered with the building. See, by any means, this is not acceptable. For any region to survive, you need to have enough oxygen and water. For you to have enough oxygen, you need to have a greenery in the system. Today, we have reached the situation where some of my colleagues have to have the oxygen cylinder when they reside in the Malleshwaram, Rajaji Nagar, and some elderly people use oxygen cylinder. Don't you see that is such a serious thing the city where oxygen was surplus. Even today in campus, there is a lot of oxygen. In my campus, IISc campus. So now in 2017, you see 78% is concretized, and 20, it is about 93%. And my projection for 2025 shows 98.5% of the landscape will be only with the buildings. So you can imagine what will happen to the city then. Okay, that's where the editorial and all start happening. Now I'll move on to the second part of my talk on the water bodies. You all understood that Bangalore once had the interconnected lakes. We had about 1,452 water bodies, and water bodies were like this earlier. And today, I have 193 water bodies in Bangalore. The number of wards, administrative wards, is 198. If I can save them, at least I have solved some problem in the city. Now, see, the storage capacity in this 1452 water bodies was about 35 TMC. You will understand the importance of this storage capacity. That is a vision of the earlier rulers. The city receives the rainfall. The rainwater is about 15 TMC. To store 15 TMC and a normal rainfall and a flood, they had the storage capacity of interconnected system 35 TMC. They had the storage capacity much higher than what was required for the region. Okay? Now, this is the kind of the goods and the value of the good ecosystem. We all know from the water body, we get fish, fodder, etc. How much they get? I thought that if we do the valuation of ecosystem, at least the decision maker might take an interest in conserving the thing. See, this one shows in Rachinhalli, not very far from here, closer to JNCSR. There's a lake called Rachinhalli. When we evaluated, it works out to be 10,500 rupees per day per hectare. While there's another lake on the other side of the JNCSR called Amruthalli. Amruthalli Kere, in that, because it was polluted, because of the distillery, the effluent getting into the water body, the productivity has come down to 20 rupees per day per hectare. See, somebody sitting in the upstream will pollute the water body. Who are the fellows get affected? Below poverty level people, the fishermen, washerwomen, these are the people get affected. There is a societal issues associated with that. Being arrogant in the upstream or in the apartment, I have no right to pollute this water body. In my action, I am just making the others deprive of their livelihood. This is something serious issue. I am emphasizing this again and again. That is because we all think that we are educated. If you look at, there is an apartment next to this lake. They don't have the treatment plant. Okay, what they do, they have a septic tank. In the night, they just pump this sewage into the lake. Okay? It passes and comes to the Rachinhalli lake. And people have been writing to me because I was in the environmental committee of the government of Karnataka. And when we visited, we noticed they first pump the sewage, and then to clean the drain, to cover up their lapses, they use the treated water to clean the drain. So there are two mistakes. One is polluting the lake with the sewage. Second is misusing the treated water to clear the thing. Then I wanted to see who are these great people who are residing in this apartment. They are all PhD medical doctors. Then I realized that education has nothing to do with our behavior. So when I go to the village, if I convince them don't pollute the water body, they probably will understand. Whereas these PhDs and medical doctors, they say, we know better than you. So we have to accept that because sometimes people know better than us. So we should respect them also for their arrogance. Now, when I look at the system, all along, people have created water bodies. From Ramayana time to today, I see that every king has created the water body. But today's ruler, their job is to swallow the water body. What is created yesterday is swallowed by the rulers of today. But fortunately, I still meet people who help in creating the water body. I was in Bangalore last, 2 years back. As a part of my research, I travel in many places. This gentleman, that is the time, steel flyover issue came up in the city. I gave a talk and it became quite popular. This gentleman came to know that I am in Bangalore. He invited me for a discussion. I just did the presentation, what I am doing to you people. Then he said that I have 12 acres of land. For me, that was sufficient, 12 acres of land. I said, okay, now this man is, I can reform him. I told him that I would like to visit the site. Then he took me and my student, we visited the site. When we went to the site, he said, this is 12 acres, this is the land I have. Then I told him that, see, I would like to enjoy the grain in your land. But he didn't know what I meant. Actually, he took me around. My students were carrying the gadgets, the GPS and other for the topographical analysis, etc. We just silently collected the data. We came back. Then we found out how much water can be stored in that the region, how much water is available, and where the lowest point. We prepared a technical report. Then after 15 days, I visited that Swamiji. I gave the report. He said, I didn't expect this. I thought you are like other visitors who have come and gone. I said, no, when researchers come, we come with a purpose. So now I have come with a purpose. He said, what is the purpose? I said, having invited me to your campus, I want a water body in your campus. So he said, where is the resource? I said, you are a Jain Swamiji, you have a lot of people, followers. The muscle power is there. So implementation is not a problem if there is a will. Believe it or not, in 15 days, this is a report given to him in May 2016. I told him that June 5th, the rain will start. I want the water body before that. So in 15 days, with the help of these youngsters, he creates the water body. That's the beauty of this country. Youth power, we need to optimize that and use it for this kind of thing. And he could store 10 lakh liters of water that year. And previous year, the same region had faced the water scarcity. Because of this initiative, that year there was no water scarcity. So that is where the sensible human beings are required. And I found that among this, there is one gentleman who is a CEO of this Alvas Engineering College, was instrumental in implementing it. So we just provoked him. And this year, he created another water body in the Alvas Engineering College campus. So that's how we change the system. See, for implementing any of your idea, it's not the cost that matters. It is the will and the way you look at the problem that matters. Now, to highlight what I said, I'll take you to another water body. This is you all know there is a place called Gokarna. From a religious point of view, it is a very important thing for the Hindus. A lot of people come there, to do the rituals of 12th day or anniversary, once in a year kind of a thing. Here there is a pond, which they call it as Koti Tirtha, and it was covered with weeds, and there was a odor, bad odor was there. And it was like this for the last 10 years. So, and some youth wrote to me when they heard about my work in Bangalore and other cities. They wrote to me saying that what can be done for that pond. I went there. Then when I had a meeting with the Gram Panchayat members, they said that they have allocated 15 lakh to rejuvenate the lake. I said that you don't spend that money. I will implement ecologically the treatment system. Let us see what happens. Now, we did the analysis of the water. When we did the analysis, we found that the water has the high nutrient. The nitrogen is higher in the water. Why N is higher? Because after people perform rituals, on an average about 150 to 200 family does the ritual, and when they do after the ritual, those rice balls and the flowers, everything is put in the water body. Okay, that's how they discharge the thing. Then what we did is we thought that, okay, this is a custom, I cannot stop it. But I should take advantage of the custom. What I did is I had a meeting with these priests. They are quite powerful fellows. I just told the priest, I requested them, can we make the devotees to discharge this ritual material in a designated place? They said, okay, that is possible. Then I said, okay, let me have an economic model. What is the economic model? See, when the devotees leave these rice balls and the other material there, this priest has to chant and then collect 20 or 25 rupees. Now, in that process, every month we have a revenue of about 20 to 25,000 rupees. Okay? Now, that 20 or 25,000 per month is given to an NGO where 3 youth have got job, their job is to maintain the thing. They remove the weeds and all those things. In the meanwhile, we also introduce the fish which likes rice. Now, I have put the ecological entity there which likes that thing. So now there is an ecological intervention, the fish is there, which silently eats the food. At the same time, we have economic thing where 3 youths got the job. Now for the last 2 years, the lake which was like this for the last decade, for the last 2 years like this. Poor Shiva got water to the land. But that Shiva every day used to have abhisheka of that contaminated water. Now, because of this, Shiva is so happy. You might ask me how he is happy. Last 2 years, whatever I touched has become gold. Okay, if I send the publication, gets accepted without much comment and all those things. You can look at my career profile. The number of publications in the last 2 years on average, I have published at least 22 the research articles in the international journal. Whether you like it or not, you say, no, we are not this one, we are a scientist, we don't believe in all these things. That's your problem. My problem is publishing if I have to shine in the system. And fortunately, this kind of things are helping in the system, okay? Above all, the thing is, the many people who visit that place, I used to see them consuming that water. Now when they consume the water, I know that I'm giving the water which doesn't have any contamination. When I say Shiva is happy, I meant all these devotees who go there, probably their appreciation and their thing of the status of the lake, every appreciation might have given me some credit in the academic career also. Okay? Now, let's look at the Bangalore's problem. I talked about unplanned urbanization. The poor water and wastewater management. Okay? Rainwater harvesting is suboptimal, and there is no concept of reduce, reuse, recycle of wastewater. Everyone think about diverting sewage. People sitting in Sahakari Nagar want to divert it to Nagavara. People in Nagavara Lake want to send it to the Kolar, like this. Everybody want to push their burden to some other thing. So, and people think about river diversion. All these are, according to me, the fool's idea, not of sensible humans. Okay, this is how I write articles also in popular magazines, etc. How the lake get contaminated? People throw the solid waste, people encroach, apartment come, they let the sewage into the thing. And in addition to that, there is an organization called BWSSB. I'm sure many of you know what is BWSSB. Is there someone who doesn't know BWSSB? Okay, it is called Bangalore Water Supply and Sewage Board. I'll just change that, you just see that. BWSSB, Bangalore Water and Sewage Supply Board. And that is what they are doing. See, the country has a Clean India program, Swachha Bharat. As per that, we are not supposed to defecate outside. I have not seen any Bangalorean doing it. But whatever is discharged in our toilet is connected to the lake without treatment. So this is the problem. So now, those who are away, they send their sewage through the tankers. So you see, generous gift from every section of the society. Those who are in apartment, they let it directly. There is these are called alpha, beta, gamma apartments. Then I have the school student who take part in some of the ecological monitoring programs. The student came and told me, these apartments are discharging the sewage, what shall we do? In my typical style, I said, you go and block it, let us see what happens. As per the norm, they are not supposed to discharge it. If they are doing it, then we have every right to protest. Once that was done, today there is a treatment plant. That means, if somebody points it out, there is a solution to the problem. Unfortunately, everyone takes the easier route. Okay? So now, see, when the lake is like this, in a pristine state, it will be like this. And when lake is contaminated, you see a green plants cover. These are invasive species. These are water hyacinth. This also shows there is an enrichment of nutrient. When you feed the lake with sewage, what are you sending it? You all eat protein, the N gets in. And you wash your cloth with detergent, the P gets into the system. N and P, the Sarajanak and Ranjak is required for the plants. That's how the plants come up in the thing. Now, when the lake is like this, how the lake function versus when lake is covered, how it is. This also help in they coming up with a treatment option, bioremediation principle. Now, when I look at this, see, when we let the sewage into the lake, dissolved oxygen is 0. But when the lake is like this, the dissolved oxygen at outlet becomes about 10 to 12, which is reasonably good. So that means from the inlet to the outlet in Bangalore Lake, in 90s, there was a treatment happening. This is my first student who did the study on the Bangalore Lake in 97. Our statistics shows the erosion started in Bangalore the day when Singapore was declared. So 2000 onwards. So now, see, the water body is covered with the water hyacinth, you see the DO level has come down. When the water body is covered with macrophyte, no sunlight penetration happens. In absence of sunlight, lakes start degrading. The below the lake there becomes an anoxic condition. That's where you see hydrogen sulfide, methane generation, etc. And no algae grows. So that is the implication of that. See how the lake is affected? Since the algae is not there, the next level, the consumer zooplankton and fish doesn't grow. So that's where the productivity of the lake comes down when we pollute the water body. Otherwise, people are getting 10,000 rupees per hectare per day. It comes to 20 rupees per day per hectare because of that contamination in the system. So now, see, this is glacier in Bangalore. And one thing I must tell you, I have traveled various countries. Nowhere this capability of coexistence of fire and water can be shown by anybody on the earth except Bangaloreans. So this is the thing. And of course, people like, this is actually a froth. And people from Delhi come there to take the selfie. Even I do not know what is the level of our, there's an ignorance or arrogance, I do not know. Whenever I go there, I see the fellows 45-degree bent or 20-degree bent in other direction taking selfie. So, but look at the pathetic status of the people residing there. When there is this one, volatile organic compound and the aerosol that get into the air, we are feeding it to all the apartment people. The children who grow there, they will have respiratory problem, cancer and other related issues. These are very worrying thing actually. I mean, for the people who worries. People who don't worry, they rule the state, sleeping most of the time. Okay. I'll come to that, okay. See, now, what is the solution for the froth? We should have looked at the source and address, as he rightly asked the question. That is what the sensible people think. How the froth happens? I said that the detergent has phosphate. Now the phosphate is getting into the water body, and also because we take protein, N is getting into the water body. N is taken by the plants, the maximum extent. While the P, the maximum extent get trapped in the sediment. Now it is trapped in the sediment. Now during the pre-monsoon, there is a high wind and also high intensity rainfall. The churning of the lake happens. When churning happens, there is an upwelling of the sediment happen. When the upwelling of the sediment happens, it releases this the surface active compound, the phosphate. So with that, the frothing happens. It is something similar to you put the soap powder and stir it, you see the froth. Exactly same phenomena happens. Now the solution is we need to ban the detergent which has the phosphorus. Way back, no, I'll come to that. Way back in 90s, the similar episode happened in US and Canada. They banned the phosphate-based detergent. Even today, I have interacted with Hindustan Liver. 2016, the Environment Day, I gave a talk to them. I told them that you are the fellows who are contaminating our lakes in Bangalore. They said yes. And also they told me they manufacture the detergent without phosphate and export it. And with phosphate, they market it in India. So now I have prepared a document to prove that phosphate is a culprit. I have given it to the government of Karnataka. Government of Karnataka in turn has written to the central ministry asking the central ministry to ban the phosphate-based detergent. In the meanwhile, I have also written to the government of India through the fertilizer minister and requested the prime minister to intervene and see that something is done. So I'm hoping that next election something might happen. Yeah. No, this because the industries can be in Mumbai, Maharashtra, product come to the Bangalore. So you cannot do that. It's in a federal thing. You need to have all the consensus of all the state. Now that document is being circulated among the many states. I'm waiting for the things, everyone to agree. Probably then we have to this. See, now coming back to the subject, what is the solution for this? We should have addressed the source and then minimize that kind of a thing. But what the government does, they put the mesh, thinking that, the froth doesn't come to the road. I said that this is an ad hoc, foolish decision. You can go home, do the Google search today, you will see my statement, what I have uttered on that day. The media carried. And BDA officials, what is BDA? I know you will not know. BDA. You know that BDA. B must be Bangalore, D must be destruction, A must be agency. The agency called BDA, Bangalore Destruction Agency is there. They came up with a proposal to put this, the mesh. In the process, they spent 2 crores. The agenda is to spend that money rather than giving the solution. So, fortunately, after my criticism, after 3-4 days, the froth crossed over. Then local resident called me and said, sir, what you predicted has happened now. I said, I didn't predict. This is a common sense. As the pressure builds up, the froth has to go up. Where will it go? So that's what has happened in the thing. And this is the fire, what you see in the system. Look at the other aspect. We also analyze the tissue of the fish. We find the heavy metals in the fish. Okay? Those who are non-vegetarian had to be worried about fish now. And we also see the people growing vegetable in the downstream, whether it is pudina, spinach or radish or any item. You just collect it, analyze it. You will see the higher amount of chromium, cadmium, copper in this thing because of the electroplating industries in the vicinity, etc. So that means we are exposed to the contaminant. Water has the heavy metal, and because this lake has been fed with the, every day with the untreated effluents and untreated sewage, it is contaminated. Because of the surrounding bore wells are contaminated, you see higher amount of nitrates and heavy metal. Vegetable grown is contaminated. So this is getting reflected in the system. The kidney failure, which was 1 in 1 lakh 10 years back, today it's 1 in 5,000. Even the government has understood this problem. In the last budget, they said for the dialysis unit, they have allocated the funds. What should have been the solution? Solution is not to pollute the thing, not to look at the other thing. And if this trend continues, probably you will call me and tell me by 2020 or 2025, every house should have the dialysis unit. Like water filters today we have at home, you may have to have the dialysis unit also. So that is a very sad situation in Bangalore. That's where we have reached. Oxygen, water, and of course kidney. Kidney has started failing in the city. Well, that's where I wrote a report saying that government will do something. 3 years old now, the report. Now the latest thing is froth has increased in height and further damage has happened. Now what is the solution? See, I cannot just criticize and leave the system like that. I need to give the solution. If I can give the solution, then only I should criticize. That's what we tried to do. So what we did is, we told the government rainwater harvesting could be one of the viable solutions. So what did we quantified? How much rain comes to Bangalore? We receive on an average 700 to 850 millimeter rainfall. If I look at the water available because of the rain, it is 15 TMC of water, 15,000 million cubic feet or billion cubic feet. Now, how much water Bangalorean requires? 18 TMC. That means 70% of the water required for the Bangalore is available in the form of the rain. Now, the best option for us to harvest the rainwater. Now, there are two options to harvest the rainwater. One is through the rooftop. The individual houses get additional benefit of 3 or 4 months, and other one through the lakes. Now, when you do it through the lakes, I have 193 water bodies, 198 watts. That means each watt, one water bodies are there. So when you do the rainwater harvesting through the lake, surrounding wells also get recharged. That's what we should do. Last rain, September, October rain, we have lost 5 TMC of water. We have donated to Bay of Bengal. We could have retained that had we rejuvenated the lakes in Bangalore. Okay? Now, the solution is have a rainwater harvesting by rejuvenating the lakes. Now, for all this to happen, I have 5R formula. What is my 5R formula? First R, I need responsible citizens. If people are responsible, they'll rejuvenate lakes and retain the water, and they'll agree for the reuse and recycle of wastewater. Now, if the city is using 18 TMC of water, that means 18 TMC of sewage is out. Now, if I treat that 18 TMC, I get 16 TMC of water. That means 15 TMC because of rain plus 16 TMC. In a place where 18 TMC is required, I have 31 TMC. There is no need for diverting water from the Linganmakki or from, the Ganga. Recently, I was told in Russia there are a lot of water, or even from Russia. Because Russian scientists came to my lab. I was told about the abundance of water in their thing. And they have the case studies. They also did diversion of river and all. After 2 decades, they know the implication of that. Let us understand what is the implication from them and then think sensibly for the country. Otherwise, river linking is going to be a failure, and in all probability, we are going to waste the resources. Okay, the next one is the wastewater treatment. So my solution is simple. This model is working in Jaipur. In 2008, when I was a member of the expert committee, I made sure this is implemented. This is based on our research. One of my students was, to remove the nutrient, you need plants. Your sewage consists of nutrient, N and P. What happens to your treatment plant, which are either primary or secondary treatment, though they are treatment plant, the primary treatment removes your floatables. Secondary treatment removes the ions. Okay, then what is to be removed, which creates the problem to the lake, is the nutrient. That is not removed. Now, what I have done is, in here, is integrated with a constructed wetland and algae pond. By the time when it passes through this, the plants uptake the nutrient and algae takes away the P, I will get a water which doesn't have N and P. In this region, we have monitored the wells in the vicinity of the lake. In 2005, there were high nitrate levels. Nitrate is a carcinogen, which means it introduces cancers in the system. Now, last 8 years, my students have monitored in the vicinity of this lake. There are 300 wells are there. There are no nitrate. At least my technology has helped 300 borewell users not to have the contaminated water. That is the contribution of IISc to the local resident. I am expecting the government, I am pushing the government of Karnataka to implement the similar thing in all the lakes in Bangalore so that Bangalore will have enough water. Now, this report, what I am talking is available to anybody to download and look at the thing. And the data shows that there is a removal of nutrient happening in the system. Okay. Now, these are the lakes which are there in Bangalore. About 193 water bodies are there. My students have monitored all these lakes in the last 2.5 years. Okay. And the state has about 36,000 water bodies. That means every district in Karnataka and in India, people have evolved the mechanism to sustain the water. I don't know why this diversion and all has cropped up, ignoring the traditional harvesting thing. This is the most cost effective. If you harvest the rainwater in your lakes, what you need to do is, you need to do the desilting once in 2 years and maintain the greenery in the catchment. That's how we can address the water crisis and other crises in the locality, whether it's a Kolar or Chikballapur, etc. See, when I talked about river diversion, against river diversion, there is a project called Ethinhole. I don't know how many of you have followed that. The government said that there is a 24 TMC of water which is available. They will divert it to Kolar and Chikballapur and parts of Bangalore. When I did the calculation, I see that water available in the region is only 9.75 TMC. Out of 9.75 TMC, 6 TMC is required for the local people for their agriculture, horticulture. Another 2.5 TMC is required for the fish, etc. If I deduct this, only 0.85 TMC is available. Then I wrote an article saying that where is 24 TMC? Then I sent that article to the Chief Minister of Karnataka, hoping that he will understand the anomaly and make sure that he will question the engineers. But believe it or not, what happened was, within a week, there was an advertisement in the local dailies half-page advertisement against me, against my report. So, see, this is the kind of the thing, you know, if the decision makers are corrupt, how they demonize the scientists and researchers who are working for the country. But then I wrote an open letter to the chief minister because some elderly person said, don't write this sweet letter in a closed envelope, you should write the open letter. I wrote an open letter, advertisement stopped. By the time, the government had spent on advertisement 1.5 crores. See how much money they spend on the scientific report. Had they rejuvenated one lake, I would have been more happier than advertisement like that. Okay? Now, that's about the rejuvenation of the lesson. Now, I'm into the last part of my talk. So, you know, these are the other issues. You know, there is a frequent floods happening in the city. You understood loss of ecosystem. And of course, the transport. If you look at the transportation sector, the Bangalore and Hyderabad have a higher emission from the transportation sector. This also reveals among the 10 cities which we have studied, these 2 cities have higher emission from transportation sector because of the poor public transport. And if you see one of my publications, we have shown that 60 to 70% of the people use 2-wheeler or 3-wheeler, which are highly inefficient. That is adding to the greenhouse gas emission from the transportation sector. Then also, we looked at how the waste sector is contributing. See, the waste that is generated in the city, 70 to 75% is organic. And another 20-25 is the plastic, paper, etc. If I mix up and dump it in a place, you know, as the biological, material start decaying, there's naturally the methane generation. So that's how you generate the gobar gas plant and all you design. But here, the methane generation happen. That means the waste mismanagement also lead to the global warming. And liquid waste mismanagement also is leading to the greenhouse gases and the global warming. We have quantified that. There is a paper saying that the greenhouse gas footprint in major cities in India. After this in the 10 cities in India, and that was taken up for discussion in the parliament, I was happy, but I don't know what is the end result of that. So now, these are the glimpses of the city. You can, sorry? See, you are talking about you are talking of the immediate effect. See, the respiratory diseases, that's what particulate matter you are talking about. But you should also keep in mind the implication of greenhouse gases. So it is, no, we are already started paying. See, if your grandfather has told me it's a long term, I would have accepted. In your lifetime and your child lifetime, I don't think it's a long term. Already we have, see what happened in Jammu Kashmir or in Uttarakhand or Chennai, Hyderabad. These are all the warning bells, or even Mumbai. See, actually, what you are saying, what you are putting forward, your hypothesis, if it is true, then my paper wouldn't have got that many citations. See, there is, it is not just the policy makers have looked at it. The implication is there. See, it is not just you might say that, okay, greenhouse gas, colorless, odorless, how it affects me. No, I agree. This is exactly what Trump is also arguing. I don't have to worry about the emission. The country like Bangladesh and India get affected. Why should I worry about it? Huh. Huh. No. Local action has to be there to mitigate the greenhouse gases. If we don't do it, we are going to pay the price. We have to do that. See, what you are saying is these are all linked issues. You know, when you talked about particulate matter, when the particulate matter get emitted in the system, there is also associated gases also get emitted. So you want us to pollute more? Greenhouse gases? No, I agree with that. The higher amount, see, you saw my student wearing the mask. What is the thing it is giving? You know, it is not just oxygen deficiency, it is also the emissions from the environment, you know, the particulate matter. That is also the thing. You know, people have diverted the thing saying building activity is creating the particulate matter. Even in the location where there are no building activity, you see higher amount of particulate matter. This is a concern. You know, you need to address through the integrated path. We should not have this, you know, like a surgeon approach. If you are an eye specialist, you will say, no, I will see only the right eye. Left eye, my wife will look at. Or if you are a left eye specialist, you say, no, I look at only the left eye. If it is tilted 45 degree only, I will look at. Let us not have that. Let us have an integrated. See, when you start addressing it the holistic way, probably solution is more meaningful. Anyway, let us see that. So now, I'll just show one slide, which I am sure you will enjoy, okay? So, how I have understood? See, I don't need air-conditioned buses in Bangalore. It's always cool, okay? So, this is what happens. This is in Banashankari. Then, this is in Sheshadripuram. You know, from 2001, I am seeing this, okay? And only the year now changes, but almost all the thing continues to happen. And those who read newspaper will know that who this man, my friend, okay? So, because of his inaction or sleeping most of the time, you know, engineering college has come in the lake because we want our children to be cool, water cool, okay? And we use boats in the road. Okay, you can see the situation, and there is unfortunate thing is 2 or 3 deaths happen every year. That's, you know, during rainy season or the monsoon, you do not know when you spend children and spouses out, whether they return safely, or when we go out, whether we come back safely, they will be thinking, okay, that is the kind of uncertainty we have in the system, okay. So, now, I'll come to the last part of my talk. See, people say that Bangalore is a dynamic city, and somehow they got the sustainability index also they got it computed. When I look at this one based on my studies in the thing, none of the parameters cross the threshold to say that we are sustainable city. But there are jokers in the world, you pay them few dollars, they will give you the certificate. It is like this, you do the wire transfer, the certificate comes, and there will be big hoarding saying Bangalore is a dynamic city, Bangalore is a sustainable city, and all those things. Only people like me who do the studies know that how bad the situation is. So now, the diversion of rivers. You know, this is, you know, some of the thing. Those who say that water has to be diverted where there's a surplus thing should go to Russia, understand the implication, or go to Gujarat. Look at the downstream. You know, when there's a monsoon, even the ocean is ferocious. If I don't send this water to the ocean, the saline water comes to the inland. You know, there is a salinity ingression happen in the system. If I don't send it, the water keeps the salinity under control. Okay, and also groundwater recharge happen. But if I divert the thing, now the saline water comes and groundwater zone also get filled with the saline water. Now people's livelihood is, they cannot grow the crop, and fish productivity has come down in that region. So that's where I have said, you know, people who push this kind of project, they said the water going to ocean is waste. I have asked them, only waste bodies think like that. So far, I wrote an article, but there is no counter thing to prove that I am wrong. That means there are many waste bodies thinking on those things, okay? And that's where I also push the agenda saying that we need to do the auditing of natural resources before we take up any other thing, which is both ecological and social auditing has to happen in the system. Now, let us see what has happened. See, the increase in the impermeable area, building concrete everywhere, has led to the lakes have become seasonal in Bangalore. So that's where, BWSSB keeps lake alive by sending sewage. So now the sewage is generated in everybody's house every day. So that is, there is some amount of water in the lake, okay? Then groundwater table has declined. Places like Nagshettihalli, where the lake was there. Earlier, the water was available at 150 feet. Today, 700 feet. In places like KR Puram, Whitefield, etc., the groundwater table has gone down to 1,400, 1,600 feet. Some places they don't even get the water. When you go so deep, natural geological strata has a trace element. That means you would have got the water, but you have got the water which has interacted with the trace element. That's where you see the fluoride, arsenic contamination in those regions. So these are all the implications. Why we have gone so deep? Because we have not allowed the water to get recharged. At the same time, the exploitation has gone up. You see the way the buildings have come up, they are all on the groundwater. So now because of this mismatch, the groundwater table has declined and there are changes in local temperature. Now let us see how the local temperature has changed. This is again using remote sensing data. You can analyze. The thermal sensor gives you this. So 92, 2000, 2006 and today, see what is 19 degree, where buildings were there in 92, it was 19 degree. So became 26 degree in 2000 and in 2007, 31 degree. And today it is about 38 to 40 degrees. It's the same month, same day, same location, okay? And if you look at the surrounding area where vegetation water body was there, if it is 19 degree here, the vegetation water body, it is 15 or the 12 degrees. Now, to understand that, what we did is from the center of the city, we moved in 8 direction, noted down the temperature profile. See, here, Hebbal Lake, the temperature is 2 degree lower. Or the park, whether it's a Lalbagh or Kaban Park, Alsur Lake, even my campus, IISc campus, the temperature is lower because 54% of my campus is covered with the green. Okay? Now, you understood loss of water bodies, and the city which was a garden city in 70s has become garbage city in 2000 and today is a dead city. And also there is a poor environmental literacy in the system. If you look at Bangaloreans, most of them can read and write to an extent of 85.7%, next to Mumbai where it is about 88%. But if you look at environmental literacy, most of the Bangaloreans do not know from where they get the water, from where they get the milk, etc., how to manage the solid waste, etc. In fact, the other day I went to one of the college, Krishna Jayanti College, here only in Kottanur. As soon as I went, the water bottle came to me. I said, I don't use this water bottle. Then the kids, the student asked me, sir, if you don't drink this water, then what water you can drink? So that means they have reached the stage, the water bottle is only the way we are supposed to have it. That's the tragedy of our system. What we need to understand, that in one of the slides earlier I had put it, but I skipped the slide. See, these bottles are manufactured with the chemicals. When there is a change in temperature, when you manufacture, bottle the water and transport it, there's a temperature change. Every change in temperature, increase and decrease in temperature, the dioxins get released from this, the plastic bottle, gets into the water. So my assessment is that when we consume 1,000 bottles, probably we may have to book a slot in the cancer hospital. So one is respiratory disease because of the aerosols and this one. Second is cancer. If you eat food, then kidney. So see, entire body, probably you need to have an automated system to manage the thing. You should have artificial lung, you should have artificial kidney, and you can see the 22nd century Bangalorean, how he looks. Probably even for the brain, the machine learning based some system has to be there, okay? Oh. In fact, those who read Reader Digest would have seen the article last year sometime. There was a small write-up on a person who was hospitalized in the Mumbai hospital for a cancer treatment. When people went there to see him and show the sympathy, he told everyone, I am the guy who introduced the bottled water in India, and I am paying for that today with a cancer. So that means there are enough evidences to prove that There are implications. Also, plastic is one of the things which is creating nuisance in our society. The day when we became too dependent on polythene and bags and plastic bottles, our mismanagement of the solid waste started. You know, the other day, the last week newspaper, the local dailies carry an article saying that a surgeon, when he did the surgery of a cattle's stomach, he got 70 kg of polythene bags. You can imagine what is the status. These organisms, they are ruminants. They also have the methane generation. You can see that how the milk generated in these organisms also get contaminated in that. So that way the whole system, I sometimes wonder how we are still surviving in the system with all this contamination. That's the beauty of the Bangalore. Okay. Now, how can we solve this problem? Okay. I have 3S formula, you would have read it, I will not talk about it. But how I am doing it is through the education, environmental education. I have a network of institutions in Karnataka, about 39 or 40 institutions, where regularly the children come to my lab and we interact. This is the schools and colleges. I also organize a symposium, popularly known as Lake Symposium. It's a globally known event. A lot of people from other countries also take part in my event. And I have conducted 10 events from 98 onwards. Every even year we have done. The 1 day, 3-day event, among the 3-day, one day is meant for the school kids, school and college students. It's an opportunity for them to interact with the international and national experts like me. So the students who took part in this kind of thing in 97, okay, or 98, today they are in NASA and they are in they are faculty in IITs. So the less known entities in rural area, because of this program, they came to know about IISc, and today they have become stalwarts in the system. And you can create new lakes, if possible, plant native sapling. So you can see my contribution in the system. This is the lake. I got it created in the campus in 2008. I gave a proposal in 98, but it took 10 years to convince the bureaucracy in my campus. And you can understand, any campus, there are administrators, very difficult for them. One fellow told me, by creating water bodies, you will also create mosquitoes in the campus. I said, I challenged him. After I create water body, I will take you to the lake. If you get a mosquito bite, then I will resign from the campus. So the mosquito will be there where you people sit. That means in your administrative block, not where the ecosystem is there. So somehow we succeeded when Govardhan Mehta was the chief. So we succeeded. And today, there are no mosquitoes because we have the fish which takes care of the larvae. And today I have this organism. In Bangalore, I have the environment where otter is there. Okay? So from where it has come, I do not know, but they are there because I created the system there. Now, if otter is there, there must be fish also. My student documented this. This is from, you can see the dry area where you can see me walking, but today, for the last 10 years, every year about 10 lakh liters of water gets stored there. And this is the algae, and this is zooplankton, and you can see the bird and fish and the otter here. Okay? Now this has become a lab for my student who work on biofuel. We work on algae. Now I don't have to depend on the campus. I have my own lab, outdoor lab, where my student look at what is the biofuel prospects of this algae, etc. And recently one of my students, while collecting the sample, he saw that the skin of a snake. He collected it to the lab, brought it to the lab. We just measured it. It was about 279 centimeter. And highest length reported in the country is about 239 centimeters. So that's what I keep telling. Not just our student excel in IISc, even animals in the campus also excel. So that's the beauty of the campus. That is the thing. Now, let us see what are the other things we have done. This you saw that. Okay, this also you saw that. Now, this man, who is a CEO of Engineering College, Alvas Engineering College, this year he created a water body. When I have given a talk to the sensible people, I have got something in the return. That is, this kind of things have happened. So that's where whenever there is an invitation, I go with the hope that at least one person will take my idea forward. And this is slightly bigger water body. It's about 15 lakh liters of water it stores. Okay, you can see this gentleman with his students around. Okay, now this you would have seen in the campus. This is the climber from Western Ghats. When I was a student, I was fascinated by this climber. I felt that I should have it in Bangalore, and I got the thing to the Bangalore. This is the pod, I got it. Out of this 14 seeds, 7 seeds I planted in various places in the campus. Out of the 7 places, only 1 place it has come up. That is next to this building, where I have worked in this building for the last 20 years. So my assessment is, out of the 7, this plant has known that I'm going to be in that building. When I was a student, I didn't know that I will join the institute as a faculty. I'll continue as a faculty. But this plant knew about it. If you dispute my theory, my question is, why the other 6 didn't survive? The climate is same, soil is same, only the thing is presence and absence of TVR mattered. So if you have any doubt, you can go and ask that plant. Okay? Now it has grown big. And in front of that building, we also created a forest. 49 species from Western Ghats, about the 500 sapling we planted in this 2 hectares land. This is the region infested with Parthenium. And today, you get a feel of the rainforest, and you can see that, and who is there? The slender loris. It was there in Malleshwaram. Now I have in my forest the 4 families of this slender loris. Okay? And groundwater, which was 150 feet earlier, today I get the water at 5 to 10 feet. Don't you see, this is also, this experiment gives some insights what kind of greenery you should have to enhance the groundwater table in the region. Now, this is the model I am pushing the government of Karnataka to have it in all wards in Bangalore, so that we can at least provide recreation to the people, and also groundwater recharging can happen. And temperature here is another 2 degrees lower, and it has become a place for the reptile and slender loris, etc. The beauty of these organisms, when I work, around 7 o'clock it starts calling, this slender loris. At 9 o'clock it stops calling. That's the time my students tell me, sir, you pack off. From here, your friend has stopped calling. I don't even have to look at the wall clock. Okay? So, this is the glimpse of the symposium, 10th event, and earlier events are available on the web. You can refer. You can see how I have conducted this event for the last 10, this one, okay? And this is how the children take part. See, here the children are monitoring the landscape to find out how much carbon is stored in the plant, and for that 2-time period monitoring has to be done. They measure the girth and height, and when they measure the girth and height, they can quantify the biomass, and in the 50% of that is the carbon. So, see, when a class of 60 or 70 kids measure each tree, for each tree you have 60 or 70 value, you can teach statistics at the same time natural science. They learn mathematics in a most easiest way, so that they can also contribute, into the system. And wherever lakes are there, kids take part in the monitoring the catchment, mapping the catchment, and also the water quality monitoring. See, this is the froth in 2000, which is less than 3 feet. Today, froth is about 20 or 25 feet. If you take a truck, you will have a free wash of truck. If you walk, you will have free wash. So that's the kind. Anyway, it's a detergent and this one. So these children, they are trained by my postdoctoral fellow. So they go and collect the sample, they come to my lab, then they do the schedule. See, these kids learn the science in an easier way. That's how the capacity building happens. And, look at this algae. These are biological organisms. Replication happens every 2 hours. For an engineer to draw this, he will take 15 days to design a product, another 20 days. After that, you are not sure whether all 20 or 100 products are without any cracks or anything. Okay? So now, See, the kids have monitored, and I don't see much difference between what I see in electron microscope versus what kids have done. Okay? So similarly, rural area, the children do the mapping of the biodiversity in their village. The government of India brought out a Biodiversity Act in 2002. As per the Act, biodiversity documentation for each village should have been there. Government didn't succeed. When we did it through the school children, in 1 year I got 300 villages the biodiversity details. That is the strength and beauty of the youth in the country. We need to harness their power. Probably if we do that, we can make the country also stable and we can achieve that developed country status also. Okay, this is how the kids interact with us. And now my students are looking at these diatoms. See, our focus is this oil. Any biomass, if you want oil, coconut or groundnut, you need to crush that to get an oil. Now, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to see whether this organism can secrete the oil. You might ask how it happens. In mammals, the mammalian glands secrete the milk. Now, let us take that analogy and do the cell manipulation here so that it starts oozing out the oil. That's what I wrote an article on this. Of course, this is a collective effort. We said milking diatoms, so that it oozes out the oil. But when we started, when we published this, everybody landed in my lab for more insights. Scientific American and all these people came and interviewed us. And today, NREL, there's a major program based on this article, on the oozing of oil from the diatoms. See, my vision, our vision here is, the day is not far off. You all have to wear cap. Let us have a cap with a diatom culture in that and keep the bottle in your pocket. If the diatoms start oozing out the oil, it gets collected in your trouser pocket. So the oil for tomorrow, let us generate today. See, the country depends on oil and the software. Now, we have become masters in software sector. If we can sustain self-sufficiency in oil sector, I am sure the country will move forward. That is where a lot of challenges are there. But when we are monitoring this, we came across a particular species which oozes the oil on its own. I don't have to do much. So now my students are looking at that, what has contributed for that ooze the oil. So this is one of the interesting things we are looking at. These are our the thing. So these are the areas I work. You can see that I also offer a course in addition to my PhD student. One of the students is here. So the course for the working professional through the internet. I developed the course material, and this course I have been offering from 2003, the 15th batch. We did it in the last year. Every year between August to December is this course, and now the next session we will announce it in this year, August to December. Okay, that would be the 16th session. That means we are trying to do the capacity building at school level, college levels, and also the university. And of course, when I go and give a talk in institution, there's a capacity building at another level. Okay, those who want to know more about Western Ghats, this is the website. And those who want to do the spatial analysis, free and open source software. This is the kiosk where you get all the software. If you want to build the web, the content management systems are there. Those who are interested in my research can click on this. So you will see my web page. Here you can see the research paper section here. There are 2 research paper sections. If you click on this, you will get energy related. Here you get the nature related, the flora, fauna, etc. When you click on this, all are archived based on the theme. All my publications are available, and also the publication related to lakes are available there. And all these are also archived at Google Scholar and also ResearchGate. Okay, you just have to give the Google search ResearchGate, TV Ramachandra, you will get this one. Thank you very much. These are the kids who work with me. If we have done well, I would give a credit to my youngsters, and thank you very much. So I just advanced this one, even though the thing, because many people started leaving, so I skipped 1 or 2 the intermediate thing. So if there are any queries, I would be happy to.
Hello. let us first thank Trivial again for the talk that she gave. I think there is no doubt about it that this will be one of the most, not only informative in the sense of what's going on in Bangalore and otherwise, but what are the things people can do to mitigate some of these things. I think, at least for me, but I think most of us perhaps would have heard this for the first time. So it would be a good idea if, when we wrote to Professor Trivia, we actually also wrote that we'll try to have a component where some of us would like to know what can we do in a situation of this kind. Probably all of us are also, although we do research in multiple, many of us do in physics, are busy with string theory or busy with something else. As far as these issues are concerned, how can the scientific community by itself participate? Not just people who are working in the field, but a broader scientific community, how does it participate on an issue which concerns everybody else?
See, one other thing what has to happen is the validation of what I'm talking. You know, when I'll tell you how the bureaucracy take advantage. When we say that there is a pollution because of the N and P in the lake, there is another scientist who comes up with the exactly opposite thing. If everyone does the science, how can the results be different? You know, when people are given the briefcase, the result should not be different from the person who don't carry the briefcase. You know, that's the unfortunate thing. That is where the academician, researchers get together and take part. You know, that's one thing has to happen. Being passive and innocent spectator will lead to more and more chaos in the system. So if you can assert, probably that will make the system more at least you can be a watchdog and say that, okay, either you can say that whatever is being talked is sensible, we should take it forward, probably then the government will start thinking. See, now I have noticed that when in the meeting when I sit, the government says, oh, there is a lot of criticism in the paper, let us not have that. Whether it's a steel flyover or any other thing, you know, they wanted to amend the Tree Act. The way the people responded, you know, the people talked to me, but I saw that there was a response from schools, colleges, everybody, then the government dropped the thing. You know, that is what should happen. As an academician who know the subject little bit, I'm sure the contribution could be more significant if we start talking about it. And in your own way you can contribute. It's not necessary you have to jump into lake domain and start talking about it. You know, wherever we are, at least we can be conscious. Today when I came here, they offered me coffee or tea. I told him, I'm not saying whether I will take coffee or tea. I will see how they serve the coffee or tea. Whether they give it in the paper cup or a plastic cup or they give it in the normal, the steel or a silver container. So when I went there, when I saw the cups, I was quite happy. Because my worry is that, you know, people say paper cup is environmentally friendly, which only reflects their ignorance of the subject. You know, when you manufacture the cup, you use plasticizer, which has these chemicals. So now the situation is much more worse than using the plastic cup. Here, paper is there. To manufacture paper, you have to remove the trees. And then plastic is there. That is a double burden. So, and we say that, no, paper cup is less. So at least if we understand that, and this one, and take up the societal issues, you know, in the long run it helps. When IISc was created in Bangalore, why IISc came to Bangalore? If you look at the MOU, the Maharaja of Mysore and the Tatas, that whatever the understanding, and Vivekananda thing, there's a component saying that the IISc should take up the research relevant to the society. You know, at least through this kind of work, we are trying to give back to the system. And if my work has become popular, that means my science also has become closer to the people. Today, when I travel, I come across the school children who talk about my work. In fact, the other day, one 9th standard kid who came to my office, later I noticed he had created a blog on me and my work. See, that is what happens. It's not the publicity I'm talking about. It's the solution to the problem. See, if we can bring out this kind of the issues which is harming the society, probably we are solving the many of the problem. See, the region where literacy is higher, environmental literacy, there is water also. Come to Uttar Kannada district where I work. You know, 45 to 50% are environmentally literate. I don't see much garbage and all those things. Whereas here, 3.5 literate, environmental literacy. So that's where we have more and more societal problem. And even more worrying in the Bangalore is, which I didn't mention, is divorce rates have gone up and infertility rates have gone up. So what is this city heading towards? I do not know. We need to take a call on the thing. That is where I have written to the government saying that let us decongest the city. Let us move some of the major installation out of the city. We need not have everything in Bangalore and make Bangalore to suffer. So I'm hoping the sensible youngsters will vote the right candidates so that next election we have a better people. I'm hoping for that. So we need to see that. Okay? And if everybody take part, whether actively or passively, I'm sure there will be change in the system. If you think that someone else do the job, being an educated section society, then I would say that we are doing a greatest injustice to ourselves and our next generation. That tomorrow, if our children do not have water and oxygen in Bangalore, I would say the blame should come on my generation. So that's where, as academician and as a person who know a little bit better than them, we have a role to play and we need to contribute to the societal causes. And another thing I want to tell you before one of my colleagues passed away. He was only 45 years. We do not know. He is so active, he was trekking, all those things of brain hemorrhage. Okay? And he was so actively involved in environmental issues. His name is Harish Bhatt. So what we have done is, in his name, in the campus, I got 400 sapling planted. I convinced the director that I got the region. So in the Jubilee Garden, where earlier only monoculture plantation was there, today 5 varieties of ficus, like ficus, banyan tree and that group of the thing, at least 2 or 3 years old sapling, around 400 sapling we have planted. So of course, that was a grief, but I have taken that as an opportunity to enhance the greenery in the campus. Already my campus has 22,000 trees, but here, another 400 gets added in the system. That's what one has to do that. Okay? Yeah. All are thinking together. Only the thing is, Bangalore is in the forefront because the way the urbanization is happening, that is the problem. Whereas at least Delhi, I see some greenery. Here, we have just removed this one, everything. Road widening happens and all kinds of, in fact, I missed that one set of slides, the trees. The city today has 14,78,000 trees. The population is 95 lakhs. That means for every 7 person, there is 1 tree today. Okay? Now, you might ask, how many trees the individual require? See, all of us, when we breathe, we give out carbon dioxide to an extent of 540 to 980 grams per person per day. Okay? Younger people, 980 grams, and elderly people, 540 grams. And 1 hectare of tree sequesters the carbon to an extent of 6 to 8 tons per year. By that ratio, we should have had 8 trees per person, but what we have is 7%, 1 tree. We need to green the thing. And this has been talked in all the literature. It's nothing new I am talking about. See, if you look at Bible, at least 315 times people have talked about the importance of nature conservation, etc. Even Quran talks about why we should not pollute the water, why we need to maintain the integrity of the water. To bring that awareness in the public, it mentions that if you pollute the thing, there is an imminent water war. Now, to implement that, in Dargah when you visit, you should wash your hand and feet with a clean water. That's how the practice, through the practice, they thought that people will remember and will not pollute the water body. Even in our literatures, if you look at our Matsya Purana, there is a link between the water body, child, and a tree. See, if you have a well at home, you are wealthy because you have sufficient water. 10 wells are equal to 1 lake, 10 lakes are equal to 1 sarovar, 10 sarovar is equal to 1 child, and 10 children are equal to 1 tree. That means by planting and nurturing a sapling, you are getting a benefit of 10 trees. And for those who cut the trees, my message is, every tree when they cut, they are murdering their own 10 children. They might say, no, no, I have only one child, not 10. But the 10 in their stock, they would have cleared it. So that's a reason. And that is quite effective. My work on trees of Bangalore, that report I had written about it. About 8 months back, one of the forest officers came to my room. He said, sir, I read your article. After a few minutes, I saw him crying in my room. I said, gentlemen, why are you crying? He said, sir, according to your article, I am a murderer. I am going to remove 125 trees in Jai Mahal Road. Now tell me what is the solution. I said, okay, you are removing it. You think it is inevitable. What I suggest you is create a mini forest in the vacant land in the nearby area. Till then, don't cut the tree. You tell the people, now I am removing 125, 250 I have planted, and out of 125 which are healthy, I have transplanted. So then people will respect you. Then, for the first time, the transplantation also happened, which the media has reported it. Okay, that's how one has to do it. Okay. Yeah. No, I'll tell you, I'll tell you, there is nothing is happening. If you can see the fire few months back, last year when a fire happened, the BDA asked me to give my scientific input. I gave a report saying that how the fire happened. When the water hyacinth cover the lake, they form the mat of 1 to 2 feet. Okay? Above that, people dump the solid waste. Now, when you have a thick mat of 2 feet, below that there is an anoxic condition. Absence of oxygen, there is a hydrogen sulfide methane generation. Now, above people dump the solid waste, somebody must have thrown BD a cigarette, which has caught the fire. Now, because this biomass also had dried, now it's a winter, the plants start dying. So that has increased the thing. And methane has sustained the fire for 2 to 3 days. That is the thing. And when you look at the fire, you should also keep in mind that all this contaminant, when they burn, the aerosols will have the volatile organic compounds and trace elements. Those youngsters, IT professionals, we are exposing them to the higher amount of contaminants. That is the tragedy. When they write to me, some of them write to me with a lot of things. Why they place me at a higher thing is because they are hoping that my science gives them a solution. When I talked about that methane thing recently also, when the recent fire, the minister in charge of Bangalore came on the TV. He said, TVR doesn't belong to IISc. TVR is not a scientist. He belongs to some NGO. He keeps doing this kind of work. Okay? But of course, people have rejected his thing and they said that we know where TVR stands. There are a lot of tweets and all those things has happened. This kind of, some kind of blame game, some kind of, tarnishing the image, all those things happen. But because the people are quite enterprising and active, and they are affected a lot, whether it's a flood or a fire or a froth, they have been exposed to the contamination. That is where, and the water they get, they are so conscious, they go for RO in their thing. Because the lake water is collected by tanker, and only tankers supply the water there. There is no ground water, nor this one, Kaveri. The tanker mafia is playing. When tankers supply, these people use RO. Every liter of water, they have to waste 9 liters of water. And that's one part. Water wastage is one part. Second part is, the RO doesn't distinguish water essential mineral versus non-essential. It removes everything. That means people who are consuming that water is without essential mineral. So in fact, when I talked to them, I told them that I really worry about your health. When you cross 45 or 50, if you have to use the stick, I won't be surprised because you are losing the essential mineral. One of the gentlemen told me how it is impacting. He said, sir, I was staying in Basangudi. I didn't have blood pressure and all. Within 8 months here, I have a chronic blood pressure problem. And doctor tell me it is because of the RO water. So that means it is impacting the people. That's what I said. I really surprised how people are still surviving. When you go to that region, you will see every week when I visit at least one death. Is it not a worry? You know, these days they put big banners saying so and so has gone. You know, the other day some journalist came from Switzerland. I told them, these are the guys who have died in the last 1 month. There was 4 or 5 photographs were there. You know, he said, oh, this is really worrying. He said, I will take it. I said, please don't make money out of these dead bodies, I said. So, you can communicate, but don't misuse the thing. Yeah. This is, see, this is how the, no, I understand. Israel has the thing. They know how to optimally use the water. You know, whether it's irrigation or the drip irrigation, etc. But their role in the water, wastewater treatment, I have my own doubts. You know, when government of Karnataka invited them, why they invited itself is a question. You know, it came to our expert committee. The person who invited, incidentally, was a nephew of the chief minister, who was heading a Karnataka State Industrial Corporation thing. He said, no, Israelis have come and they will give the technology without any cost or anything. I told him, already the Britishers have looted and gone. I don't want one more fellow to come and loot my country. I will not allow that to happen. Because I didn't see that technology can solve this thing. What is required is, for me, is a sensible citizen, and the Jakkur model is the solution for that. We already proved it. There's no point in getting somebody and waste their money for their 5-star hotel stay. Whereas when I go there, I go in auto. Whereas for them, 5-star stay and the AC vehicle comes there. This is how the system works, okay? So that way, we have the technology. What is required is the implementation of that. But implementation of that will not happen in the current system because the return they get from my technology is very minimal. Constructed wetland, how much money they can make? Whereas they talk about tertiary treatment, it runs into the million rupees. They know that 40% of that they can pocket it. In fact, openly they say, when they come and quote the thing, they say 100 crore is the thing. They say, you just give a 200 crore quote, we will clear it. 100 crore, give it to us, and 100 is for you. So we have to accept that as long as majority doesn't question the system. Chief Minister sits in the office 303. If you do the Google search, you will get 303, the floor, 3rd floor, Vidhan Soda. We just write that letter. And last time when I did, when somebody asked me to write an open letter, I just posted it on the web. So the Facebook and all the places, it's the thing, and everybody appreciated. Probably that was the stand of academician which was unique. No one else had done that in India. And I can do that because in my institution, we enjoy the academic freedom. Suppose if I were in university, this minister would have called the vice chancellor, would have asked him to sack me. But that doesn't happen in IISc. As long as academic freedom is there, you can make inroads in the system. That's the beauty. See, why people in IISc succeed or IIT succeed? Because we enjoy that freedom of expression, freedom to do. See, I work on water, I work on energy, I work that tomorrow if somebody comes and says, this is an area, we want some input, I take up that and I look at it and give the report. So that's the thing. Whereas in the university, they say, no, your qualification says this, you are not supposed to do this. So that diverse domain also has given me the diverse expertise. And diverse student I handle. Probably in the entire country, my group is a multidisciplinary group. I have biologists, I have engineers in my group. So, and now we have lawyer also. So. Okay, thank you.